For decades, the story of Lake Chad was a straightforward tragedy. You'd look at satellite imagery from the 1960s, see a massive, vibrant blue expanse, and then watch it evaporate into cracked earth. By the turn of the century, nearly 90% of the lake's volume was gone. It became the textbook example of climate collapse, a warning of what happens when a vital water source dries up. This chart shows historical inflow to Lake Chad from its primary rivers. Jagged lines track actual water volume entering the basin. The straight lines are Sen's slope estimates, identifying the true trend. They prove a mathematical, undeniable drop in water volume over decades. As the surface water vanishes, the ecological collapse pulls the regional economy down with it. The Lake Chad Basin spans 8 countries, and roughly 49 million people rely on its resources to survive. As the water receded, the people who lived by its rhythms were left stranded. Fishermen found their boats sitting on dry dirt, and farmers watched their crops wither in the expanding dust. That level of desperation breeds instability. With traditional livelihoods destroyed, the region fractured, leading to the rise of an armed insurgency that began tearing through the basin in 2009. Millions of families fled across Cameroon, Chad, and Niger, ending up in sprawling refugee camps surrounded by harsh, unforgiving sand. The global community looked at this and accepted a bleak consensus. Lake Chad was gone, and the people trapped in its basin were casualties of an irreversible climate war. But recent scientific observations have revealed a different reality. The lake is no longer shrinking in a continuous downward line. Instead of a steady evaporation, the true threat in the Sahel today is severe climate unpredictability. Water levels are experiencing violent, unpredictable swings, and the local infrastructure is entirely unequipped to manage them. If the water isn't gone, but simply erratic, the strategy shifts. Instead of mourning a dead lake, the goal becomes building systems that can survive extreme volatility. Understanding how environmental shifts trigger geopolitical conflict is how we solve the crises of the next century. If you want to see more breakdowns of how the world actually works, take a second to like and subscribe. This specific type of environmental decay is a technical problem of resource management. The $17 million Prolac Initiative is the first coordinated effort by Cameroon, Chad, and Niger to rebuild those systems across their shared borders. A major part of this involves restoring 2,400 hectares of long-abandoned polders. Polders are low-lying tracts of land enclosed by protective dikes, allowing farmers to manage the internal water supply through canals, shielding crops from the chaotic floods and droughts outside. To keep that water moving, they replaced expensive, fragile fuel generators with resilient, low-cost solar-powered pumps that drive water straight into the dry earth. But water alone isn't enough if the desert reclaims the land. They are physically stabilizing sand dune labor. That necessity is creating thousands of immediate jobs for young people who had previously been displaced by the fighting. This is the active, technological terraforming of a war zone back into a functional ecosystem. The localized results are already visible. Women-led producer groups utilizing these stabilized plots and reliable pumps have more than doubled their crop harvests in just 2 years. And the scale of the labor force is immense. 50,000 people are currently employed to dig those irrigation canals and construct nearly 300 kilometers of new roads. Those roads connect recovering, isolated farms directly to bustling local markets, bringing cash back into the community. By combining highly localized, climate-resilient agriculture with shared infrastructure, these countries have interrupted the cycle of environmental decay and armed conflict. In 5 years, these targeted agricultural and transport projects have stabilized a population once considered beyond help. Similar methods could be applied to other regions where water systems are failing. Around the world, massive basins, from the Colorado River to Central Asia, are facing similar environmental shifts. Take the Aral Sea. Its severe depletion has devastated local economies, making it a candidate for this type of combined engineering and infrastructure intervention. If human ingenuity and coordinated effort can reclaim land from the edge of the Sahara, what other regions of the Earth are just waiting to be revived?